Story. When I look back now, I can see that my marriage was unraveling long before I had the courage to admit it. My name is Jessica, I'm 38 years old, and for most of my adult life, I thought I had everything figured out. I was married to Daniel, a man I believed would always protect me, always choose me, and always love me the way he did in our 20s. We had a daughter named Chloe, a sweet and curious 10-year-old who reminded me daily why I kept pushing forward even when I felt myself drowning in silence. But marriages don't fall apart in one day. They weaken in quiet moments, missed dinners, unanswered questions, late nights at the office. Daniel wasn't a cruel man, but he was absent. His job at the architecture firm demanded long hours, and somewhere along the way, I stopped being his priority. I became the person who made sure the bills were paid, the laundry was folded, and Chloe was cared for. What I wasn't anymore was his partner. The first time I noticed the shift was during a spring storm. Rain pounded against the windows, and Chloe had fallen asleep on the couch. I carried her upstairs and tucked her in, then walked back down to the kitchen to find Daniel still at his computer, staring at blueprints. "Do you ever notice how heavy the rain sounds in this house?" I asked him. He didn't look up. He just muttered something about deadlines and kept clicking his mouse. That night, I realized that the storm outside sounded thinner than the silence between us. Months passed. The silences grew thicker, tighter, more than I could hold inside my chest. And then came Ethan. Ethan wasn't a stranger. He had been Daniel's colleague years ago before moving to another firm. I ran into him by accident one Saturday at the grocery store. He recognized me immediately, smiling in that easy way that people who still carry light in their lives do. He asked about Chloe, about Daniel, and then, gently, about me. That last part mattered. He didn't rush through it, didn't treat it like a formality. He genuinely wanted to know how I was. I didn't realize how badly I needed someone to ask me that until I nearly cried right there in front of the apples. What followed wasn't sudden or scandalous. Ethan and I began with conversations, coffee at a small cafe, walks at the park, phone calls that stretched too late into the night. For the first time in years, I felt seen. I felt heard. I felt like I wasn't carrying everything alone. But guilt shadowed me. I wasn't raised to betray vows, and I didn't want Chloe to see her mother as dishonest. Still, every time I tried to end it, Ethan would remind me of simple truths, that I deserved to be loved, that life was too short to wither in silence, and that caring for yourself wasn't betrayal, it was survival. One evening, Daniel and I had dinner at home. Chloe was at a sleepover, so it was just us. I cooked his favorite pasta with homemade sauce and waited for him to notice. He didn't. He scrolled on his phone, distracted, eating quietly. When I finally asked him how his day was, he just said, "Busy. Same as always." That was the moment I knew, my marriage was no longer a partnership. I wrestled with my choices for weeks. The burden was thick and heavy, tighter than any rope. It was more than I could hold. I prayed, I journaled, I even spoke to a counselor in secret. The counselor didn't tell me what to do but asked me the question that changed everything. If your daughter grows up and finds herself in your shoes, what would you want her to choose? The answer was clear. I wanted Chloe to choose love, to choose joy, to choose herself. So how could I ask her to do that if I couldn't? When I finally told Daniel the truth, that I couldn't continue like this, that our marriage was broken beyond repair, he didn't yell. He didn't cry. He just nodded. In that moment, I realized he had let go of us long before I did. The silence between us had been his way of leaving without ever packing a bag. Leaving wasn't easy. It never is. But with Ethan, I didn't feel like I was carrying the weight of the world alone anymore. He held space for me, and together we built something honest, fragile, but real. Chloe struggled at first. She asked questions, she cried, she wondered why her family couldn't stay the same. I told her the truth in the gentlest way I could. Sometimes grown-ups forget how to love each other the way they once did. And that's okay. What matters is that she always has two parents who love her, even if we love each other differently now. Now, years later, I can look back with both regret and gratitude. Regret for the years I spent hiding in silence. Gratitude for the chance to rediscover myself, to teach my daughter resilience, And to know that sometimes the things we think we can't hold are simply reminders to set them down. Because no matter how heavy the silence, how tight the burden, or how thick the walls we build around our hearts, love will always find a way to break through.